The other big sort of managerial talking point, and we are going to get onto the game later, but is should Ten Hag go or should Ten Hag stay? There's reports out that he may get the chance to stay at the club now. Most of the other reports, though, have made it sound very much like some have said 100% he's already been told. There are others stating that, the dust is going to settle and they're going to move him on. A lot of people are expecting it tomorrow after the bank holiday weekend here in the UK. But a name that's emerged, Staffy, as a top contender for the Man United job is De Zerbi from the ex-Brighton manager. What do you make of that as a potential replacement for Erik Ten Hag?
Yeah, listen, De Zerbi is not my number one choice. As I said before, I don't have a lot of choices that I'm like very keen on. I am, as I said before, I'm willing to give the next manager a proper chance, just like the same I did with Ten Hag. Any manager is going to come in with questions. Any manager is going to come in with doubts. I don't think anyone is a clear candidate for the job, whether it's McKenna, whether it's De Zerbi, whether it's what's his name from Thomas Tuchel. Listen, we've been linked with a lot of names. As I said, Bar Southgate. Everyone else, I understand the pros and cons of.
Would you take Poch?
Would I take Poch? No. I mean that one wasn't on the mark until Chelsea sacked him. So I'll put him next to what's his name, Southgate, to that one. Those are the two that I don't want. I think Poch has already proven to me. I said based on the Chelsea job, I'm gonna make my decision if he deserves to be a top 6 manager again in his career or not. And I think this guy should not be managing any top teams in any league. I think he's proven more than once now that he's not good enough for these jobs. He's a good enough Premier League manager, definitely not one to be managing a top 6 team to eventually take him to trophies and that. Obviously, Southgate, I don't need to speak about him because the guy hasn't even managed a club since he relegated Middlesbrough in like 2009. So don't even joke with me on that one. But De Zerbi, listen, De Zerbi is a good coach. I have reserves over him eventually elevating his management style and his coaching style because I feel like he's very one planned, I should say. He has a very good one plan A, doesn't really have a decent plan B, plan C, and I don't like managers that are not flexible. He does deserve to get a step up, though, because he's done decent with Brighton, and he's done enough to warrant him to get a step up to a bigger club that needs a manager right now. Obviously, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and Spurs are already set with their managers. The only two that don't have a manager right now and looking for one, it is Chelsea and United. So did he warrant himself a move? Of course, there's a reason why Bayern was also linked with him. A lot of people wanted him at Barcelona because, especially the style of football that fits the traditional style of football that Barcelona's been playing. So he deserves to be linked to these teams. I have my own reservations, but I would 100% give him a chance. I would 100%. Terry, me and you talked about it off air before. I told you why I like him and what worries me. So that just showed you from the beginning, weeks ago, that I would 100% give him a chance. I think he would be a better option than Ten Hag anyways. Because I've seen Ten Hag for 2 years not being able to implement his tactics with the players that he has and implement a style of play, and he continues to struggle. He could win a cup game here and there. He showed that because he's won a League Cup and won an FA Cup, but that doesn't erase the shambolic football performance that we've seen in the league this season and in the Champions League.
So, Staffy, you want him gone? You want Ten Hag gone? Then is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, anyone who knows me probably knows my name and that I'm Ten Hag out. If you don't know that, then you probably just didn't watch me.
He's like hashtag Ten Hag out on Twitter.
I've been wanting Ten Hag out from it. No, I actually don't do the hashtags. I don't need to do that childish shit, bro. Honestly,
I'm just
anyone
I'm
who's
surprised by that. I'm not gonna lie. Just because I'm watching the Man United situation, and look, from a Newcastle perspective, it's kind of benefited us. Seeing you guys
benefited.
We're going into last season. Obviously, you guys dropping points. We've beat you guys. Obviously, you beat us in the cup final. You won the final at the weekend. But seeing you guys have that dip is benefited us because we've obviously still are on the rise. But looking at you guys as a Man United situation, I'm looking at Ten Hag. Yet there's been disappointments. You guys have not been where you want to be, which is fighting for titles, of course. But do you see it as Erik Ten Hag has navigated yourself as a club through probably one of your difficult periods, a transitional period where you've got players that are not happy, players that are wanting out, arguments all over the place? It hasn't been easy for you guys. It hasn't been easy.
Most of these problems
with players, but he's navigated you as a club through this difficult period over the last.
Navigated to what? To 8th? to negative goal difference, to bottom of our group in Champions League. Why are we
You're,
forgetting
you're,
these things?
you're changing your squad. You're having to rebuild. Rebuilds don't take 1 year, 2 seconds. You've got a lot of players in that squad going back 2 years that you've wanted out, and you're on the verge of getting them out. The likes of Martial going, the likes of Varane moving on. You're moving players out because you want to rebuild.
Yeah, Varane is the same player that everyone keeps defending this manager, saying if he had
I'm just using him as an example.
No, but I understand what you're saying. I hear you, by the way. But Varane as an example, since you named him and Lissandro has been the partnership that everyone wanted this season. But he's also the same manager that benched him for a whole month during the season when we played City, said because of tactics. So don't tell me if we had this backline, not you obviously, but the Ten Hag Inners mainly say that if we had our backline, we would have done this, would have done that. No, because he benched half of his backline when he was available, and this is why I've been calling out from earlier in the season. There's a lot of mistakes that he's done on the pitch. Forget the whole navigated thing, because I don't think he navigated us to anything. Yes, fair enough. He won us an FA Cup, and I give him praise on the
manager. He's your manager. But
he created most of these issues.
He's had to, I'm looking at this. Look, I'm on the outside here, but I'm looking at Man United and I'm looking at Ten Hag, and he's had to front up all the negativity in the press, the journalism, Sky Sports, TNT, all of the negativity that Man United get naturally when they don't do well. He's had to front that up.
Yeah, but that's something all the managers have ever suffered.
Day in, day out. He's had to front that up. And yet you've mentioned it could be tactical various. There's lots of rumours, whether they're true or not, that there's players that are not doing what they should be doing. There's players that are not giving 100%. He's having to navigate that potentially as well. And he's managed to get you through those 2 years. And like Don and few of Don on the panel have just reminded everybody, you've won 2 trophies in 2 years. Whereas nobody would have expected you win a Carabao Cup. Nobody would have expected you to win the FA Cup at the weekend, yet you have. And you're still in the position where you're winning trophies, albeit not being in the position that you are. So for me, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, okay, you're finally at a position now where some of these players are being moved on. You're finally in a position where you've got an owner in that actually cares about your club and has already shown in the early stages that he's willing to do the right things and make the right decision. Like I'm just this is not to you. I'm just talking out loud.
I understand your point. I understand your point, Pete, and I think that your point holds. There is water, holds water. Your point, and there is logic to it, and I don't think what you're saying is irrational or.
I'm on the outside.
No, and I get where you're coming from. I also understand it from Staffy's point of view. I also view there's a topic that's sort of not being discussed amongst Man United fans, which is essentially from today. It's a brand new group of people running the club. We are going to be clearing out medical staff, recruitment. We've obviously got a whole new board that are going to officially start work. The issue is again, and I'm only using my experience here in business and my experience into the corporate world as an example, and my experience part of Team GB. When there's a massive overhaul, people get saying we've got to continue on the process we started. But that process was a Glazer process, which we already know is broken because the manager shouldn't have the control over transfers that he's got. There are loads of problems internally. I still believe clearing everything out, including the manager, could help us get back to challenging for league titles and being good enough to win the Champions League quicker, because I think you're starting from a position of absolute freshness, a complete and utter clean canvas. So for me, it's not even, there are definitely things that he's done wrong. There are also things that he's done right, because since the Arsenal game, he made fundamental changes to our systems that made us a better team. I thought we played quite well against Arsenal, narrowly lost. We beat Newcastle and Brighton when everybody predicted the defeat. And we beat City and played very, very well at the weekend in a game we were being laughed at for thinking that we could win. Will got laughed at for predicting a 2-1 win. I got laughed at for predicting a 2-1 win. And professional pundits were on TV saying no chance, 3-0s, 4-0s, 5-0s are going to get hammered. But that was actually because of the way the system was looking for 35, 36 games that Ten Hag set up, injuries or no injuries. If he'd have made those changes 4 or 5 months ago, made us harder to beat and break down, and would have grown from there, I think the conversation surrounding him would be very different. My issue as a Man United fan is I understand our injuries played a part, and it was such key players that were out. Because Gal would agree with me that if Saliba and Gabriel missed the lion's share of the league season, they wouldn't have finished 2 points. You wouldn't have finished 2 points off Man City. There would have been a bigger gap between you and them. I think most people would agree.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got the plethora of other players that were out as well. But that was where we, on the opening day of the season still, though, had massive holes in our midfield and we were being run through. And so many of us all campaign were pulling our hair out and thinking, why haven't we made a tactical adjustment to stop this from happening? That, for me, is still the problem. And I love that we won an FA Cup, and he deserves praise for it. It etches his name into the history books of Manchester United. But maybe I'm being greedy here, but that still isn't enough, in my opinion. Your progression over 2 years in the league has to be assessed in itself, away from just winning the trophies. We spend not just on transfers, but on salaries, on agent fees, as much as any of the big teams in the world. And we should be demanding progress towards trying to win those league titles. So I think when you look at the progress towards winning the league, you factor in some of the mistakes that he's made, and you look at the fact it's a brand new regime that you went through at Newcastle. And I know that Steve Bruce didn't win you a trophy. You've seen so many. No, I understand that, but you would have got rid of Steve Bruce even if you were playing better football and higher in the league, because your new ownership would have said, we want a fresh start, we want to start again, and we want to grow from this point. So I feel like when you factor everything in, and look, people say we had injuries. I understand we had injuries, but we had injuries when we played Arsenal, when we played Newcastle, when we played Brighton, and we improved because the system was adjusted. And I heard all the commentators, the one thing that annoyed me about the commentators on Saturday, where's this United team been all year? Part of it was injuries. The other part was we've changed our shape when we're out of possession. And
it
we
was
did
a
it
selection stage. This is why this is pissing me off. These people were acting like this. He stumbled into these selections in the last 4 games because he had more injuries. Because there's another one, super chat coming in from the biggest clown that I've ever seen super chat on this channel, Nabil Akbar. Might as well put it on because there's not a bigger clown out here in the football terrace than him, saying we had no center back or left back. Well, guess what? We beaten City with no left back. So what the fuck is this argument? We played the same back line for the whole last month. The minute we start playing better football is because when he changed the midfield, and that was on accident because he had injuries in the back line where he put Casemiro there, and he started using the 6 that he benched all season, that he chased all summer, and stumbled into Ahmad playing because Rashford got injured. And all of a sudden, we beat Newcastle, Brighton, and Man City on the bounce. And even we played very good against Arsenal. Even though we didn't win, we played decent against Arsenal. So that's 4 games in a row. When he actually changed the way he sets up, we start getting better results and we start looking better. So that's why injuries don't make anything to me. Because if we lost to City, they would have said the same thing. Oh, we had no left back. Half of you don't even rate Shaw. So why do we need Shaw right now? Now you're telling me we need Shaw. The excuses just fluctuate based on if we win and lose, and this is why it's disgusting.
I agree. So I think the only thing me and Staffy disagree on in that comment is I do think if we had mostly these main players fit all year, even if we hadn't changed the system, we'd have finished higher in the league. I
agree with that. Yeah, this team is better.
Exactly. However, it isn't just the personnel. We did something in that Arsenal game and beyond in those 4 matches. We were taking our inside forwards or wide players and we were tucking them into midfield positions out of possession, which made it harder for teams to progress the ball through our middle. Arsenal struggled to do it, but a lot of people just said Arsenal were playing in second gear because it was an easy game. We had to take that criticism, but then we did it against Newcastle. And you guys had chances, but we settled into that game. We ended up being the better side. Went away to Brighton. They had a lot of the ball. We stopped them from penetrating. And for the first time, 3 games running, it was the last 4 games running. It's been our lowest shots per game against average for 5 months. And actually, you think about the games, Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton away, where we often lose, and the best team in the world, City, how are we averaging less shots per game than the previous 5 months? Because the system in itself changed. And that's the thing, Nabil. I understand your defense of the manager. But at the same time, I don't think we're being intellectually honest if we didn't see those holes in the team. Because what about when we did have certain players fit? And we were like Wolves at the beginning of the season, pretty much everybody was fit. Equally, you say we had no left back. Why is Luke Shaw out injured? Because he was rushed back. Why was Lisandro Martinez injured for a large part of the season? His bone hadn't healed right, and we were playing him. These things are on the manager and the medical team between them to make sure they get right. We can't ignore these elements, in my opinions. Nabil says, oh my God, Martinez or Varane, you can't play a high line with Maguire and Evans, Casemiro playing centre-back. But this is so answer me this question.
No, hold on. And I'm gonna cook this guy because there's no way this absolute clown is gonna tell me he's gonna teach me football. You absolute idiot. We didn't even win these games playing high line football. So why are you acting like we played a highline against these teams anyways? We won 2 games before we beat City without Varane and Lissandro. Lissandro and Varane did not play against Brighton and did not play against Newcastle, and we still won these games. So why the fuck is this the excuse? It was never the personnel. The personnel could have elevated us, yes, to a higher finish. Could we have been top 5, top 4 if we had Lissandro fit all season? Yes. But that's not the argument that I'm making. He changed his tactics and we started winning. It wasn't just the personnel, because as I said before, Varane got benched for a whole month because he said tactics. So let's stop talking about Varane when he didn't even want him to play, and he's leaving next summer. So based on this idiot Nabil, I should have no expectations going into the next season because we already lost one half of the partnership. Now I'm gonna make excuses all of next season. Maybe like, yeah, but Martinez lost Varane, so I don't expect us to win. This is absolutely, the logic is just absolutely stupid. I can't believe this.
Okay, so who do you want then? Because like obviously you want.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. It's not about who I want. It's about saying this manager has not been good enough. I never wanted this manager out just because of a trophy. And Terry can vouch on this. I never came into this season expecting a trophy anyways. I said we're not good enough to win trophies. So I was never Ten Hag out because of trophies. That's why I'm not going to become Ten Hag in because he won me one trophy. And I'm going to tell you this. If we're going to sit here and say Ten Hag deserves to keep his job because he won one cup, then I expect everyone to have the same energy and say Arteta what? Because Arteta didn't win a trophy, right? So let's all of us right now say Arteta if we're going to keep Ten Hag. Because that logic makes no sense to me.
And Pete, on who do we want? I mean, look, I think the sensible thing to do is look at who's available and who's on the shortlist, because I'd love Pep. It's not going to happen, right? So we have to be realistic in that regard. I like De Zerbi, but my view on anyone that can come in is there are question marks over them as well. So I think this is the problem with this conversation amongst Manchester United fans, is everything's polarized. There are some that believe keep Ten Hag, it's going to work. They don't want to hear anything other than that. There are others that will say De Zerbi. There'll be others that will say Thomas Frank. There'll be others that will say, I don't know, bring me, who else we bloody linked to? Bring me McKenna. I think he's X, Y, and Z. That ain't going to happen. Bring me Potts. Yeah, you'll get some that will say that. And they'll believe unequivocally these guys will cook. I'm very, very open-minded and objective when it comes to this. They all come with a risk. I also look at the situation around, we've got to clear the playing staff out as well. Some people go, we're letting the players get away with it again. No, I believe all of that needs to happen at the same time.